But I got a really concerning letter from my insurance company the other day, and it caused me to immediately say to Sean and Louise, who booked this show and produced this show, I want to talk to Alex Lawson over at SocialSecurityWorks.org and and find out what the heck is going on here. Alex, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
So glad to have you with us. And also, of course, you run the radio station, our affiliate in Washington, D.C. as well, We Act Radio. The letter that I got, and I'm not going to name my insurance company, but, they said as a Medicare supplement policyholder. Now, I've got regular Medicare, Part A and Part B. And Part B, I think, only pays 80% of your cost for whatever it is it pays for. You can explain that to us in a second. And so I bought a supplemental policy that fills in that hole. And they said, you may have heard about upcoming changes regarding the availability of Medicare supplemental plans. With all the information that's out there, we want to make sure you know the facts. Effective January, now this is from my insurance company, effective January 1st, and I have, like I said, Medicare with insurance, Medigap insurance that fills the holes that Republicans drilled into Medicare. Effective January 1st, 2020, the Medicare Access and Chip Reauthorization Act of 2015, now that was pre-Trump, MACRA, won't allow those who become Medicare eligible after December 31st, 2019, which would be, people who become eligible for Medicare after the end of this year, to purchase plans that cover the Medicare Part B deductible. What the hell is going on here, Alex? Or am I, making a mountain out of a molehill here?
No, what you're doing is you're putting your finger exactly on the problem, which is that why is it so confusing? The truth of what this policy is you have this gap in Medicare, these holes that have been drilled in it, as you rightly say, and then to fill those holes, private insurers market different products. And at the same time, you have private insurers who are marketing an entirely separate form, a competitor of traditional Medicare called Medicare Advantage.
Which is not Medicare at all. It's fully privatized insurance that is getting money from the Medicare system, draining the Medicare system, in addition to getting premiums from us.
It's a parasite on the side of traditional Medicare with an explicit goal of destroying traditional Medicare.
Right, and they've taken about a third of everybody who is on Medicare and moved them over to these privatized Medicare Plus programs, or Medicare Advantage programs, excuse me.
And so now what you also see is conservatives who have, this is their goal. They want to destroy Medicare. So they're going to try to bias everything they can over to Medicare Advantage. So what you're dealing with, Tom, is the maze, the just Byzantine bureaucracy of trying to get the benefits that we pay for during our life, Medicare, right? Because now when you become eligible and every year after that, you have to make decisions that, really affect the bottom line and what's covered, including unknowns. And, don't worry, it's not that complicated because first you choose between traditional and Advantage. If you choose traditional, then you have to decide if you're going to get a supplemental insurance policy to cover the gap. And don't worry, there's only 10 choices there, and each one of those is extremely complex. Plus, 2 of the choices have high deductible or low deductible versions. And also, did I mention that's only in 47 states because in 3 states, they offer their own Medigap policies. So if you figured all that out and you're still with me, what's happening is that because you basically you have this conservative assault on Medicare to make traditional Medicare less attractive and try to push people over to Medicare Advantage, which does seem very attractive because it's like pretty simple. It's attractive right up until you need the insurance, right up until you need the care. And then people find out that Medicare Advantage can deny care because it's just private insurance.
Whoa.
But back on the supplemental side, what's happening is 2 of the products, C and F, are going away because, I'm not going to say that the economists are like in league with them, but they're just useful idiots often in the attack on our health care because of this whole concept of skin in the game. Oh, well, if people just have skin in the game, then they're going to, their economic choices are going to be different. And you're like, what is skin? They have skin in the game. This is medical care we're talking about.
Right.
What is the skin in the game in a blood transfusion?
Right. Well, and beyond that, Alex, I've got the F program, the low deductible one, and I'm paying, a lot of money for this. I mean, several $100s a month for this Medigap policy, because it's one of the very best ones, at least as I could figure out when I was shopping. And now they're saying that they're going to do away with it. Are they doing away with the ones that are the most comprehensive in covering all your expenses?
That's exactly what they're doing. So they, again, you obviously have skin in the game, right? It's great that you get to talk about this, because I think a lot of people faced with this feel really alone. Like, where do you go? The Medicare Rights Center is a great resource for people looking for information, but it's so complex. And you have F, which is first dollar. It covers the first dollar. You're paying money, but your insurance actually covers the entirety almost of the gap. The most of the gap that's covered is by F. So they're removing those two products, which are also by far the most popular products. So 2/3 of people who get supplemental insurance are on one of the two of those. They're actually the go-to, the default selections are those, and that'll change, I think, to G, which is another plan. But all of this is, as you know, just part of a concerted attack on the idea, which everyone wants, which is improved Medicare for all. When you explain it to people, when you don't use gotcha poll questions, and you say, hey, how about you pay less money, get better care, and can see whatever doctor you want when you need to see that doctor or provider. How does that sound to you? And everyone says, yes, that's what I want. No one likes their insurer, and that's why the big insurance has to play these games to really tilt the entire landscape to their advantage.
So it sounds to me like, if I'm interpreting what you're saying correctly, we're talking with Alex Lawson, the big cheese over at SocialSecurityWorks.org. It sounds like the insurance companies' lobbyists got into, and again, this was passed during the Obama administration, although Republicans controlled Congress. So, this, and it was part of a larger bill, so it might have just been snuck in, I don't know what. But because it was the Medicare Access and Chip Reauthorization Act. Basically, they said, okay, we're going to make it so that people who are not on Medicare Advantage, which are the privatized programs where when you get sick, they can start refusing to pay for you and maybe even throw you off the program. But for people who are on true Medicare, the 2/3 of Americans who are still on true Medicare and have a Medigap policy to fill in that 20% hole that the Republicans drilled in Medicare to begin with, that we're going to change the Medigap policies so they're not as comprehensive, so that, like I had back surgery in D.C. a couple of years ago, and I was over 65 when that happened. It was paid for by Medicare. I think when all was said and done, the entire bill, hospital stay, everything, was like $500 or something like that. It was very, very little, because I had a good Medigap policy and because I had Medicare. They want to change it so that if I go through that again and I continue to be on Medicare rather than Medicare Advantage. If I'm on Medicare Advantage, they can really mess with me. But if I'm on Medicare, it's instead of costing $500, it might cost a couple thousand. Is that what you're saying? Is that the bottom line here?
That is the bottom line, that these two products are not going to be available to folks after 2020, Medigap C and F. And yes, it was part of a much larger package, but that's how DC works. They slip these things into other places, and the whole package is too important for to stop because of these little tiny poison pills. They're tiny in the big scheme of things, but then when the bill comes due, they hurt real people, and we've seen that time and time and time again. And this is exactly why Medicare for some is actually a system that cannot stand, because they will continue to chip away at it forever. As long as the insurers are there, they will never stop attacking Medicare, which they see as their existential threat, and they should. because as long as we all see through this and keep raising our voices, we're going to improve Medicare, get rid of the gaps, cover vision, dental, and hearing, and then we're going to expand it to everyone in this country. And then you won't have to make any. There's not going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, anything. It's just going to be Medicare for everybody. You go to the provider when you need.